The Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers. Book 4. Frodo and Sam had been traveling for many days when they come upon a bog that stands between them and Mordor. They've been seeing Gollum more and more, and Sam is angry about the little sneaker following them. Sam and Frodo are following along the top of a ravine trying to make their way down. They find a place that seems easier to climb down than others and they give it a try. Frodo goes over first and is nearly blown off the cliff when a sudden storm whips up. Sam wants to kick himself when he realizes that he has rope. When they reach the bottom, Sam mourns the loss of the rope because there's no way that he can untie it from the stump at the top when they are at the bottom. Just then the rope comes loose all by itself. Sam thinks that it is possible they have completely lost Gollum since he won't be able to climb down the cliff without a rope. Unfortunately, they catch sight of him climbing down the cliff like an insect. They hide and wait for Gollum to come closer. As Gollum attempts to climb down a particularly hard part of the cliff, he falls. Sam springs upon Gollum and tries to capture him, but Gollum is stronger. However, Frodo has the sword sting and stops Gollum from doing worse. Sam thinks that they should just kill Gollum, but Frodo takes pity on the creature. Instead, Frodo asks Gollum to show them a path to Mordor. Gollum agrees but soon tries to run. They decide the best thing to do is to tie him up, but unfortunately Gollum howls in pain because of the rope. Frodo forces Gollum to make a promise and Gollum swears on the precious. For a while Gollum becomes much more agreeable to the hobbits. Gollum leads them back toward the marshes and shows them a trail that nobody else uses that goes across the bog. Despite Gollum being more agreeable, Sam mistrusts him more than ever. Sam worries about food and what Gollum will take from them. However, when Gollum tries a tiny piece of lembas bread, he hates it and refuses to eat it. As they cross the marsh, they see lights and Gollum warns them not to follow the lights. In the marsh, Sam sees faces of the dead. One night when the moon comes out, a flying creature passes over and Gollum seems to return more to his old self because of it. They continue on and come to the desolation of Mordor where nothing lives. In the night, Sam hears Gollum talking and arguing with himself about whether they should take the ring from Frodo and become the master. Sam does not reveal what he hears right away. The closer they get to Mordor, the worse Gollum seems to get. When they finally come to the gates of Mordor, Gollum begs Frodo not to take the ring through the gates because they will only be caught by orcs. Gollum insists that he knows another way. They decide to take Gollum's route and head south. Suddenly 4 winged creatures fly over them and they feel the familiar fear of the Black Riders. Soon an army begins to pass by, and Sam eagerly hopes to see elephants since these men are from the south, but there are none this time. As they travel, the land becomes less desolate and Sam starts to think about having a real meal since he was getting tired of only getting lembas bread. He asks Gollum to help him by catching some rabbits. Gollum succeeds in catching rabbits and Sam begins to cook a stew. This upsets Gollum very much because he prefers to eat meat raw. Gollum leaves while Frodo and Sam eat their meal. Unfortunately, Sam does not put out his fire well enough and it smokes. The smoke attracts men. Frodo tells them where he has come from and who his fellows had been. This surprises the men, for they are men of Gondor and Boromir was one of their leaders. The leader is too busy to speak to them then and goes off. Soon a battle rages and many Sutherland men are killed. Then, to Sam's delight and also horror, an Oliphant passes right by them. When the battle is over, Faramir questions Frodo. Faramir reveals that Boromir was his brother and that Boromir had died. Faramir had hoped to catch Frodo in a lie, but Frodo didn't know that Boromir had died and grieves the death. Faramir decides to discuss things more privately with Frodo and reveals that he knows about the ring. Frodo and Sam are blindfolded and taken to a secret place. They are given food and can rest a while when they arrive. In the night Faramir awakes Frodo and brings him to see a creature fishing in the forbidden pools. Frodo begs Faramir not to kill the creature for it is Gollum their guide. Frodo tricks Gollum into getting captured by the men and Gollum feels betrayed. Faramir decides to trust them and allow them to continue on the quest, though he advises that Gollum is not to be trusted. The hobbits and Gollum head south along the road. Eventually they come to the Morgul Vale and Frodo feels an irresistible urge to continue forward across the exposed bridge. The others pull him back and urge him along the right path. Frodo is weary and wants to rest a while despite their urging. Before they can leave the gates of the city open, and a massive army begins to march out. The leader of the Nine is among them and Frodo feels an overwhelming urge to put the ring on. Frodo's hand goes to the ring but instead of taking it his hand lands on the phial of Galadriel and for a time the ring's hold over him lessens. They continue on and begin to ascend the winding stairs. They climb for many hours and eventually come to a place where they can stop and rest. Gollum sneaks off and for a time Sam and Frodo speak of stories. They talk of their own story and wonder how their story will be told. Gollum returns later and wakes the hobbits. Sam accuses Gollum of sneaking, and it seems to offend the creature somewhat. Frodo releases Gollum to go as he wills, since he has shown them the way to the pass, but Gollum insists on showing them through the tunnels since the tunnels are very difficult to find a way through. They come to the tunnels, and they are dark and reeking. The hobbits persist forward. For hours they wander through the tunnels and Gollum seems to have gone on without them. They sense a presence in the dark with them and just when the presence is worst Sam reminds Frodo of the phial of Galadriel. He pulls it out and there is Shelob, a massive spider. The light of Galadriel pushes back the monster for a time and the two hobbits rush to leave the tunnels. Their way is blocked by webs and Frodo hands the phial to Sam while he uses the elven blade sting to cut through the webs. When they break through Frodo rushes to the entrance of the tunnel and leaves Sam behind. He soon leaves the protective light of the phial and Shelob returns from outside and attacks Frodo. Sam sees the monster and tries to warn Frodo but Gollum attacks him from behind and prevents him from helping Frodo. Sam fights for his life against the hated foe. Sam breaks free and he tries to save Frodo from Shelob. In the desperate struggle Sam takes out one of her eyes and then Shelob tries to crush Sam with her bulk but instead impales herself upon the elven blade sting. When it is over Sam finds that Frodo has been stung by the spider and is dead. He mourns over his friend's body, but he knows that he must go on and that he must bear the ring to Mordor. Sam takes the ring and heads toward Mordor. His heart is heavy, and he does not want to do what he knows he must do but he determines that he will go on. Just before he leaves, he hears voices. In his fear he puts the ring on and feels the eye of Sauron searching for him. Sam follows the orcs, and they gather up Frodo's body. They head toward a tower and Sam listens at a door that he cannot open and hears them speaking. He learns that the poison of Shelob only paralyzes and does not kill so therefore Frodo is not dead. Sam tries to catch up to the orcs to fight them off and save Frodo, but he is too late. They have already entered their tower and he is locked outside.